What is up, people? It is me, Monster58, and welcome back to another video review. And today we are going to be taking a look at the Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager class Amalgamous Prime. Definitely the most unique of the Primes, in my opinion, by far, and also by far the most unique Transformers figure that I've handled, I think, within the past long while. I'll just get that out of the way right now. Now, to my knowledge, Amalgamous, I don't remember what number Prime he was. All I do know is that he was a shapeshifter, and in addition to that, he also his artifact, the T-Cog, is the essentially, like, if you watch Transformers Prime, it's essentially the organ that allows Transformers to be able to transform into their various forms, because lo and behold, Amalgamous Prime himself was a shapeshifter, which obviously ends up becoming part of the, mainly the Transformers things, is that they can technically shapeshift by going into their alt modes and into their robot modes and whatnot. So this guy's really, really important for the foundation of the Transformers race, and certainly was definitely a character that when I was looking at the designs initially for him, I was like, how are they going to make this into like a transformable character? But they ended up doing that. And so take a look at the box here. You can see the very nice Transformers Age of the Primes. You can see the 13, the Amalgamous Prime. You can also see the very nice artwork here of Amalgamous Prime, both in his robot mode as well as in his vehicle mode or his alt mode. You can see the nice 21 steps there on the side. Some more nice artwork here of the other Primes. More nice artwork here of Amalgamous that we saw on the front, and then your obligatory product shots on the back. Now, the other little tidbit about this guy that I do know is that he also was kind of like a prankster. If I had to compare him to a character that you would probably maybe know more mainstream than this guy, would be like Loki. I think he would kind of be like the Loki of the original 13, which would make sense to me. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the packaging, I think they did a wonderful job as per usual. And so without further ado, alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, here we have the Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager class Amalgamous Prime out of the box and in his spider tank mode. I believe this is what this is called. If honestly, at the end of the day, I know that this is, I guess it's supposed to be a tank, but to me, it reminds me more of something that you'd find like, when it comes to, like, was it a Prime of Prime's vehicle mode? This feels like something he would be towing. It looks more like a space rover type thing to me rather than an actual, like, like a tank or anything like that. But when it comes to the looks, I mean, like I told you, this is by far the most unique character that I've ever really had as a Transformers figure. And when I'm looking at him, I am not mad at it. I think it looks pretty funny. It looks pretty cool. I have no, like, major issues with it. The only thing I have an issue with is the way that this thing kind of balances. At the very least, there is one other issue, but it's something else that is, I don't think it's entirely necessarily the vehicle mode or the alt mode's fault. But taking a look at the details here, you can see it's actually nicely molded and nicely painted. Sure, he is mostly that sort of drab gray, but you have a lot of that dark, more gunmetal-y style gray. They have this nice silver here for these little bits here, which are actually accessories, funnily enough. Then you have his weapon storage, which actually doesn't look out of place considering his vehicle mode is already all over the place. And then his legs are adjustable, so these are his arms anyway. So you can actually rotate them out and stuff like that. These ones tend to they're supposed to stay tabbed in, but you can untab them and rotate them out if you wish to do so. But the instructions basically have these tabs that go underneath this for his vehicle mode. And so when it comes to that, for the most part, you generally keep them in the back, and then these can rotate out and they can bend forward just like his arms can, because they are his arms. And so when it comes to the actual looks of this, sure, probably the weirdest look is probably this back bit right here. But this is the issue I have, is that when you're storing his weapon, the way that you store it is you untab these and then you can just sort of pull this out. These, which will become essentially the bottom half of his legs, do not like to stay in here very well at all. They're tabbed right here because this guy's also an armorizer. He's a weaponizer. And they do not like to stay tabbed in. That's my biggest gripe with this figure. These legs do not like to stay in whatsoever, especially even when you're moving them or transforming them. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of that. But taking a look at the accessory here, you can see this is essentially a scythe or a pickaxe or something like that. Looks pretty cool. You can see the nice transparent plastic there, the nice silver. You can see the nice hilt as well. Looks really good all around. This is also a separate accessory, but then you just tab that on like so. This looks really, really good. Overall, when it comes to this little accessory, I'm quite a fan of it, and he can hold it with both of his hands to make it more look like a scythe rather than sort of like a pickaxe. This is also a little bit articulated, not crazily enough, but it is. And then you can just tab that in via a tab in there. So there's a tab right there, and then there is a tab hole in there, and then you can just tab this up. So for the most part, a really nice accessory at the end of the day. Nothing too crazy, but again, it's the storage that annoys me in this, in the vehicle mode, just because of how you're supposed to. So you'll see, let me show you. When I try and split this, and then you can try and stuff this in there, and then just tab that in right there, and then you try to tab this together. Actually, wow, well, hold on. Like that. like this. You can see it already starting to separate there. This does not like to stay in there, but for the most part, when it comes to his vehicle mode, it's pretty interesting and it's pretty cool. So what we're going to do is we are going to set this guy off to the side, and because I've done this with all the other primes before, we're going to bring in a lot of figures here. So everyone, get ready for the size comparisons. Here he is with the Transformers Legacy United Infernac Universe Deluxe Class Magnus. As you can see, Amalgamous doesn't really necessarily make up for his class in terms of his size, but especially when you see it when you feel his density, he feels very heavy. So even though he's not maybe quite as big as you maybe would expect a Voyager to be, at the end of the day, he is a little bit bigger here, or a decent bit bigger in general. So even though the Voyager class, maybe some people get thrown off by it, at the end of the day, I still think that the Voyager class works here, and you can see that here when you're comparing him to Magnus. The Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Solus Prime. The Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Alchemist Prime. The Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager Class Alpha Trion. The Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager Class Prima Prime. The Transformers Age of the Primes Leader Class Onyx Prime. The Transformers Age of the Primes Leader Class Megatronus the Fallen. And finally, here he is with the Transformers Studio Series 86 Commander Class Optimus Prime. Alrighty guys, now being an Armorizer, this is surprisingly not necessarily the only form that he has. So to get him into his other form that I'd like to show off, it's very, very simple. So what you're going to do is you're going to remove all of his limbs, like this. And then we can set this little brick off to the side here. And then what we're going to do is very simply we're going to take this entire section and we're essentially going to remove it. So we're going to remove where his legs are. So we'll get this out of the way like so. And we'll remove these as so. Then we will clip these together like so. And then what you want to do, well actually, you want to take the weapon. You want to plug it in like this. There's a tab hole right there. There's a tab right here. Tab that in like so. Then you can tab this side in. Come on. Like so. Then you want to fold these all the way down. Then from here what you're going to do is you're going to take these arms with these, which are the back ones. You're going to... And that part came off, even though... Okay. Fold those like so. Then what you're going to do is you're going to tab them together like so. You're going to straighten them all out. Keep it out like this. Then you're essentially going to take this section and then you're going to tab it. You're going to see that they form a tab right there, and then there's a tab hole on top of the weapon. Just tab that right into place like so. And then from here, what you're going to do is you're going to take these sections, and then you'll see that there are tab holes right there, and then there are tabs on the side there. You're going to tab these into place like this. And then you can take these and plug these in, but I don't really care to. So at the end of the day, guys, here is one of his Armorizer modes. It's very interesting. Like, it's nothing too crazy. It's just basically a mishmash tank of all the parts that he has of his arms, mainly in his legs. But at the end of the day, it does look pretty neat. It's just nice that you can do this. And obviously, when it comes to these extra parts, you can also put them on other characters and whatnot. You can put them on other things and, you know, make them into, you know, have a lot more weapons and stuff like that. So, very simply, to get him back, just separate everything here. And what we're going to do, we're going to come here, going to flip these bits up here. Like that. Then what we're going to do, you're going to come here, tab these in, like so, on these tabs here, on top of the actual vehicle mode. Like that. And what you're going to do is you're going to sort of split them and then get the weapon, untab that. Just sort of fit this through here best you can. Then fit that through that little slot there like this, and then do your best to tab that all together. Make sure this is tabbed. You can tab this in here like this. Then from here, just take the arms and just reattach them. So reattach this, then reattach this, and then for the back ones, split this, rotate these around, and then reattach like that, and reattach like that. And ladies and gentlemen, here we have him more or less back in his normal spider tank mode. So yeah, very, very simple, very cool. But when it comes to the Armorizer mode, I am okay with it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to do it because I don't really care for it. I'm more or less going to have him in this robot mode. And so with that all out of the way, it's time to get into his actual transformation. So for his actual transformation, not too bad. So you're going to split this, and then you're going to remove the gun. And then what you're going to do with the back here. Now, this is annoying. I told you I hate how these legs keep coming off, but you're going to take this section. You're going to untab it like so. You're going to split the legs, and you're sort of going to rotate. You want to rotate these down, but of course, guess what? These don't like to stay tabbed in. Like, look at that. Rotate these down like that. And look at that. Like, I hate how much these things... look at that, dude. I'm just trying to untab the stupid legs to rotate them down like this. Goodness me, that's all I wanted to do. You just have to hold them in like this, then like that. And after this, good lord. There we go, like that. You want to take this entire section and then you want to rotate it all the way around. Then from here, what you're going to do is start to rotate this up, but you want to take this section and start to lift it up. And then there goes his head. That's the other thing that's annoying about this guy. His head doesn't exactly like to stay in place. You can sort of flare these out. Start to rotate his head up a little bit, like so, and then there's his head, like that. Then you're going to untab this. You're going to rotate this bit around, and then rotate this entire bit as well on the inside here around. If I can reach in and grab it, took a lot more force than I usually have to. Then you just rotate this all the way around, fold this down, and you can rotate the head all the way up like so. Then rotate this section like so. And you can see this guy just kind of falls apart, which is really sad. Tab the head back on again for the third time. Then you're going to take these sections, you're going to rotate them up like so. And then you more or less can just straighten this guy out. And then we're going to adjust his arms a little bit. You can rotate these all the way around like this. I'd like to rotate the arms down like this. Spread him out a little bit. And, well, more or less, ladies and gentlemen, here we have the Transformers Age of the Primes, Voyager class Amalgamous Prime, in his very, very unique looking robot mode. And so what we're going to do real quick is we are going to set this guy off to the side, and we're going to put a picture of the artwork here of actual Amalgamous Prime. And when we're taking a look at it, at the end of the day, it actually resembles it pretty damn well. Now, the arms, I know I didn't necessarily really transform them. You can have them whichever way, honestly. I think it's just personal preference. Sure, there's official, like, looks in the actual, you know, in the actual instructions and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, because he is so weird, I don't really think that there's necessarily a correct way to, you know, do it for, you know, his transformation. I just really think at the end of the day, for the way you want his arms is personal preference. Take a look here. What I'll show you with his head. So his head is very unique. It actually reminds me of those, like the Decepticons that you found in like the original Transformers 2007 video game for like the Wii and the PS2, like that game. That's what this reminds me of. A lot of those drones that have like the one eye like this. If you want to know where the T-Cog is, it's actually in his head. You just lift this up, you pull his head off, you lift this up, and it takes a little bit of doing to get out of here because it's so small. But it's in. I accidentally ruined that, so my apologies for that. Actually, you just push there. I don't know why I was trying to lift it up that way. You just push it from the front, so my apologies for that. But here's the T-Cog. It does look pretty cool. It acts as his eye, obviously, but it's nicely painted for how small it is with the silver and the transparent. Like, really, really nice overall. I'm pretty happy with it. So, again, to get it back there, you just come in here and you just use that end and you just tab this in, like so. Come on. There, like that. And then you can just plug his head back on, like so. But taking a look at the other details, I mean, you can see he looks pretty unique. He actually doesn't really have that much of a backpack. His arms end up acting more like a backpack than anything else. Got some nice molded in detail here. You can see that looks really nice in his crotch. The head actually looks really good. You can see all that molded in detail on the actual part of his head. You can also see the nice yellow. He does look really good, just very unique. And then you can see all of the nice molded in detail on his legs and whatnot. His legs are, you know, his feet are essentially treads at this point. So when it comes to his actual looks in his robot mode, he actually looks really good and represents the character that we've seen in the artwork pretty nicely overall. Like, I have, again, no major complaints with how he actually looks. And to sort of complete his look, what you can do is you can actually plug his pickaxe scythe thing into his hand like so. It'll snap right in, and then you can actually reach his hand across, and then you can actually dual wield it, which I think is really, really cool. If you bend this up, you can get it a little bit further. There you go. And you can have him like dual wield it, which I find pretty damn cool. Like, it just looks really interesting. Like, and then there he goes, and he tumbles over. Of course, he just completely tumbles over. What a surprise. But yeah, that's the other issue I have with this guy, is when you're readjusting his legs do not like to stay tabbed into each other whatsoever. Like the tops of the legs into where the thighs essentially are, and the knees, they do not like to stay tabbed in whatsoever, and that is really annoying when it comes to a figure like this. But what we'll do is we're going to set him off to the side here, so we're going to do some size comparisons. I'm going to bring the camera a bit up because obviously the characters, there's a good amount of characters, and a good of them are a decent bit size bigger than him. So, setting him off to the side there. Here he is with the Transformers Legacy United Infernac Universe Deluxe Class Magnius. The Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Micronus Prime. Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Solus Prime. Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Alchemist Prime. Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager Class Alpha Trion. Transformers Age of the Primes Leader Class Onyx Prime. Transformers Age of the Primes Leader Class Megatronus the Fallen. And finally, Transformers Studio Series 86 Commander Class Optimus Prime. Alrighty guys, and now time for his articulation. When it comes to his articulation, it's very odd and unique at the same time, but also limited, in particular in his legs, if you can't already tell. So what we're going to do is we're just going to remove the pickaxe from one of his hands. So for his head is on a swivel, and it can go up and down, and actually look up and down pretty nicely overall. Like, it's no stranger to actually looking up and down. It can look side to side pretty nicely as well. Then for his arms, they're each on this like swivel here, so they can rotate like this. And also the arms sometimes don't like to stay plugged in all that well. They swivel like this, and then this actual yellow part will also rotate, so you can get, a lot of movement there. Then what you're going to do is you can have joints here. They rotate at this joint here. They rotate here as well, and then they also bend here, about like 90 degrees both ways. So not too bad there. Then the hands can also rotate, and they can also bend like so. And that goes for all of these. So again, it rotates here, rotates at the next joint as well, like this. And then you can bend them, and then they also bend there. And then, of course, his leg comes undone. He does do a full 360 at the whip. Ah, man, dude. I'm really annoyed at these legs, dude. These legs so much. Rotation here at the waist. The legs can go forward. They can go back. They can rotate here, and then you do have ankle rocker pivot. It's just like I told you, when you're trying to ever pose this guy in a reasonable pose, God forbid, these do not like to snap in very nicely. I just tend to like to have him standing there more or less with just like this. And this is perfectly fine for me. Like, I have no major issues with how this looks. I'm more comfortable having him like this than in some crazy dynamic pose. But at the end of the day, the major issues I have with his articulation mainly have to do with the actual, like, sort of armorizer gimmick that he has with his legs and in his arms. They're just not on there tight enough, in my opinion. And finally, guys, it's time to get into his reverse transformation. So for his reverse transformation, it really isn't that bad. So we're going to remove his scythe here, or his pickaxe, whatever you want to call it. He's going to topple over, but that's fine. We're going to fold it like this and just set that off to the side, because I'll be using this vehicle mode, obviously. Now what you're going to do is you're going to start to rotate this a bit down. Then you can lift this bit up. Gotta continue to take this down. Come on. There we go. Just had to use that to push it so we can actually rotate. We're going to leave the head off because the head is really annoying. You can fold this down. You can fold this bit down. Then you can just fold this all back into place like so. Like that. And then from here, what you're going to do is you're going to take the waist section. You're going to rotate it all the way around. And there goes his legs. Man, I can never get his legs to stay on there. I am so sorry for my frustration. but I'm not going to pull punches when it comes to my frustration on these legs. Rotate this all the way around like so, and then from here, if you have the head still attached, which I will reattach it here, what you want to do, we'll rotate this all the way in like that, and then essentially just rest it in there. There's no tabbing or anything like that. Then from here, what you can do is you're going to take this top section, you're going to rotate these bits out like so. And then what you want to do is rotate this entire section up, and then these sections for his legs will rotate down. And what you'll notice is that there is a little tab hole there. There's a tab right there. And then what you want to do is insert that like so. Rotate this around. Do the same thing here. So do that. Tab that in, and then of course that comes off again. But you just rotate it around like so. And then what you can do is start to close these up with one another. But just keep them like this for the time being until we can continue to move forward. And then from here, what you're going to do is you're going to just rotate these straight, and then you're just going to rotate these forward like this, very simply, like that. Same thing here. Rotate that forward, do this. And then what you'll do here is that this, as I showed you earlier in the video at the beginning, this will just tab into this little tab hole underneath there. And then this will do the same here on this side. Let's see, like that. And just sort of straighten it all out. Then to finish it off, all you got to do is you got to take this section, like I showed you earlier in the video. You can, what I like to do, you can tab these together. If you want to remove, make it easier, remove both of them. Oh, I must have tabbed in the legs wrong. I apologize for that. Yeah, no, that was my bad. Yeah, I tabbed the legs in wrong. So try and tab them together like this. And then we can bring these back in. We'll tab one at a time. Then we'll take this section, funnel it through here. Tab both of these together. Put that down like that. And ladies and gentlemen, here we have the Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager class Amalgamous Prime back in his spider tank mode. Alrighty guys, for my final concluding thoughts on the Transformers Age of the Primes, Voyager class Amalgamous Prime. This guy is very unique. That's my main word for this guy. Very unique, very interesting. And is this figure bad at all? I wouldn't say necessarily bad in particular, but I wouldn't say he's my favorite of the Primes. He's probably actually my least favorite to handle next to like Solus Prime. I think Solus's clearances are too short, and actually my Solus broke. I'll show that to you guys real quick. This stupid little panel here broke off because you can see that that part chipped off right there, and that's really annoying me. But yeah, I might end up getting a new Solus Prime because of that, because that's really annoying. And I'm not gluing that on because that will ruin the transformation aspect of it. So it stays on there okay, but any major movement it falls off. But regardless, I think next to Solus, this is probably my least favorite of the Primes to currently handle. That's the biggest issue I have with this guy. His legs really just do not tab in very well, and since the joints are so tight in those legs, when you try and move them, he just kind of falls over because his legs just end up falling apart. And his arms don't exactly like to stay in the best either, particularly the rear arms on mine don't like to stay in the rear forearms. But other than that, let's get into the other good parts. He has really nice paint. His modes are really interesting. It's cool that he has his artifact inside of his head. It's very well integrated into that. And also, the vehicle mode storage in this, I didn't mention this in the review, despite it being kind of goofy, it works for a vehicle mode like this, and I'm not mad that the vehicle mode storage is the way that it is. In addition to that, I also really do like the rest of his accessories. His pickaxe looks cool. These little side bits, which you can remove, look really, really cool. And like he just looks really interesting, and it's cool that you can actually do like Armorizer stuff with them, because it sets a basis for the Transformers as a whole race. Like, oh, this is the guy that essentially started the Armorizer stuff and gave all the Transformers the ability to transform. And I do like his character essentially kind of being like Loki of the original 13. So when it comes to Amalgamous, at the end of the day, I'm probably going to give this guy a score between a 7 and an 8 out of 10. I can see you argue for either or. 7 if you're taking those issues with his functionality a little bit harder. 8 if you're taking them a little lighter than I am. If I had to guess, I'm inching more towards a 7 than an 8 at the end of the day. But it's not like this figure is bad by any particular stretch of the imagination. It's just handling him can get really annoying when it comes to his legs in particular. But I would still recommend him because at the end of the day, like I said, this is not a character that I would say that would be very Transformers-like. It's very unique, and I would expect this to be in like Destiny, like the game series Destiny. This is an enemy I would expect to see, and that is like one of the Vex, if you guys know Destiny. But I did pick mine up in the Big Bad Toy Store, so leave a link in the description of that. I'll also leave links down below to Hasbro Pulse, as well as Amazon if you guys wish to take a look at those retailers. Actually, wait, no, I did pick mine up on at IRL, but I will still leave links down below to Big Bad Toy Store, Hasbro Pulse, as well as Amazon. If you guys wish to use those retailers, I just happened to get really lucky one day and find this guy IRL. And so hunting this guy IRL, he is hitting stores right about now, if not earlier than when I'm recording this video. So definitely be on the lookout for an Amalgamous Prime and any of the Transformers within this wave, because these characters are hitting shelves right now. So definitely wish you the best of luck and happy hunting if you decide to do that IRL. But I think that's really it for the review. So I thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. Please like, comment, rate, and subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Also follow me on the socials, as those will be linked in the description below. And with that, guys, and once again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this episode and video review, and I'll catch you on the next one. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.